Hey, how you doing? It's Monday, August the 8th, I believe. And as the universe will have it, everything just aligned the way it was supposed to align today. So I'm going into work this morning, trying to think, what would I get on and talk about next in regards to higher ed issues? Of course, I get a lot of emails all the time regarding, what's out there, what we're doing next. I work in higher education myself. And one subscription that I get via email is through Higher Ed Dive. And the highlight of it, it talks about Morgan State stops using contract staff striking at employee inequity. And so when you think about that, everybody needs a livable wage. A good friend of mine, shout out to Justin J, the king of reads, always talks about just closing the gap and eating the rich, and that there shouldn't be any millionaires or billionaires. I know some people will take offense to that, but I don't. I found a lot of education from him and his platform. But anyway, dived into this, and ever so often, if you look around, there's not many people working, and I always say this has been very close to me because I once had this particular job or whatnot. I worked in a hospital in environmental services. So when you think about your food, your sanitary employees, everyone that does the work behind the scenes that never get thanked, that should actually get thanked, these are the ones that are actually impacted by this. Of course, they're paid the least but do the most work. A lot of times we just show up. The room is set up, food is good. When we go home, we don't think about anybody that actually cleans up. So as I was sitting in my office, I actually read this article. I was like, I'd like to address that. And actually one of the environmental technicians that works in my building actually came in, and that particular person, was talking about venting, which is fine, about coming into work and having to do somebody else's job. The particular buildings that person actually services, were coming back from the weekend were actually good. But when it came to the one building that they actually have somebody else service in the evening time, it wasn't good. The trash wasn't pulled, the floors wasn't vacuumed, and other things. So that particular person has to work twice as hard coming up after somebody else's particular job or whatnot. But anyway, getting to it. So in short, Morgan State University is one of the largest HBCUs in the state of Maryland. They've ended the practice of hiring contractual staff in an attempt to address employee inequity in a profound and meaningful way. So what they pretty much have done, they've taken the minimum wage and moved it up to $15 an hour. And what that allows is for those persons who were paid below this threshold to now get health care, as well as get PTO. They now get health care as well as they get PTO. And that's a really big deal. A lot of times, pretty much people are living to work instead of working to live, and you think about the dichotomy of that, and that's pretty problematic, right? Because a lot of us get to go into offices and go into these spaces whereby we're doing the least amount of physical work. You ever look at a job description, what it says, something to the regards of, can you lift up to 15 pounds and sit at a desk for several hours? But nonetheless, getting back to that conversation, when I say the universe for the most part has aligned itself today, it truly has aligned itself today, because reading this particular article, shout out to Morgan State for actually doing this and taking care of what some would say the least of those. And when I say the least of those, the least considered, the least respected, the least thanked, those that get the least amount of gratitude, but they do the best work. Could you imagine how overworked this particular segment of the workforce has been for those of us that work at institutions of higher learning? Could you imagine? I know a lot of us start complaining when we have to start cleaning up things ourselves that normally that we wouldn't, given the, current situation that we got going on with the Clorox wipes and, Lysol sprays, all these disinfectants just to ensure that we are safe. These are some of the hardest working people. Like I said, this is very near and dear to me because I chose to have this job in high school, of course, because it paid a little bit more. That's a whole nother story down the road. But I can only imagine getting the least amount of appreciation, always being overlooked, and doing the most work. So again, kudos to Morgan State University. I know that's Pat's alma mater. Shout out to Morgan State. And hopefully, what does this mean in the future? Possibly there are more HBCUs that do receive that state fund, and of course those that are not private will too bring on those particular services full time, opposed to contracting that labor out. Get more appreciation, and it will boost the morale for those persons or whatnot. So that's all I got. Won't hold you too much longer. I'll see you the next time. All right.